and I think that is extremely important about the funding. But I also want to add how they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach Black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes Blacks. We want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight with the courts and the streets, because they are literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunities, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions, this whole fight around DEI, which they did, started at Harvard with a Black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, at ACP with the Defense Forces together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation, then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back in this.
Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement. My stylist, Aisha McShaw, made this particularly for me to express the hard black with the gold. And I'm here tonight to say to these artists that we need to bring this world back to a level where we all exude what we have inside.
What about the Bezos that says cheers? How do you feel about that?
I think that every year I've come, they've had very wealthy people that supported MAGA, and it didn't stop me from coming. They don't have enough money to keep me from talking to the artists. I came to support. We fought for years for diversity. I'm here to support Venus and Beyonce, and that's why I'm here. How do we fight and let a sponsor make us walk away from the people we fought for? And I salute Anna Wintour for making them co-chairs despite the controversy. My fashion sense is the ultimate African urban flavor, unapologetic.
Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president, but we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're gonna have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm gonna keep marching, I'm gonna keep agitating, and I'm gonna keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time, Mariah, Chris and your kids. And I promise you this, the only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again.
Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive on tomorrow night and beyond. Young America, hold your head high now. We can win. You must never stop dreaming. Face reality, yes, but don't stop with the way things are. Dream of things as they ought to be. Dream. Face pain, but love, hope, faith, and dreams will help you rise above the pain. Use hope and imagination as weapons of survival and progress, but you keep on dreaming, young America. Dreams of peace. Peace is rational and reasonable. War is irrational in this age and unwinnable. Dreams of teachers who teach life and life.
Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. Good morning to all of our West Coast listeners. Welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. Well, a lot is going on. We see that the United States is insisting that the ceasefire is not over around the ceasefire with Iran, even though there's been credible reports that they were trading fire and threats around the Strait of Hormuz. And Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, insists the ceasefire is not over. U.S. officials say Iran has attacked U.S. forces more than 10 times since the ceasefire began, while President Trump is warning that Iranian forces will be destroyed if they attack American ship. Now, Trump's Project Freedom raises the stake because the mission is designed to force open the Strait of Hormuz and protect commercial trade. Now, there's real impact. Everybody listening, this is going to impact you. Because listen, the crisis is hitting the world economy with oil still above $100 a barrel and U.S. gas averaging 4.48 a gallon. The UAE says Iranian missiles and drones hit near their facility. So we're in the midst of a war. And the American people are paying for it at the pump with their lives. We lost 14 servicemen. And Trump is sitting around talking about whether we are going to war. It's not really a war, trying to get around the War Powers Act. And we are at war, y'all, by the man that says he would not bring us to war. And it's interesting, I was reading early this morning that the Washington Post and Ipsos poll says that most Americans say that Trump is mentally and physically unfit to serve effectively. The poll raises concerns about Trump's fitness to serve. This Washington Post, ABC News, Ipsos poll found that 59% of Americans surveyed said President Trump does not have the mental sharpness to lead the country. Well, we tried to tell y'all that before the election. Let's see if we'll see what happens in the midterm elections. And talking about the midterms, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries has said that he's working on a redistricting strategy in New York, sending Representative Joe Morrell to Albany to meet with state leaders after Florida made their move. What is happening? So people that don't really understand it. When Texas went in the legislature under Texas Governor Abbott at the public request of Donald Trump, saying he needed 4 more seats, and he started redrawing lines that would hurt black representation. That's why we have Al Green running against this young man in a district. I think that that's when Newsom, governor of California, said, well, if y'all going to do redistricting, I'll do redistricting and take some Republican lines. And the difference between Abbott and Newsom is that Newsom did it as a public referendum, and the voters voted in the state of California to have new lines drawn. Then it went on to Virginia, where they're trying to block it. So we are going to either end up with the Supreme Court having to say, even though they ruled against us, on Section 2, they can say, but none of these changes can be in effect in 26. Now, they just came back to higher court and said, well, no, you can go ahead in Louisiana. If they agree to that, it's going to be a matter of us having to draw district lines in different states, including New York, and coming out to vote and deal with mass education of people who will find out too late that they're in another or different congressional district or local district. So this is all the marbles on the, this is all the cards on the table. Because these people, I believe, know they cannot win. So they got to change the rules. And we have got to be 10 toes down on this one. Absolutely no doubt about it. I'm even talking about whether or not we need mass marches in D.C. again. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about all of this and more. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or go to live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. This organization has been on the front line. People ask me, why do families call us? Because we never leave them. No justice! No justice! What do we want? What do we want? What do we want? When do we want it? When do we want it? When do we want it? I remember I was 12 years old. I was a boy preacher in the Church of God in Christ. Bishop Sheard knew my bishop, Bishop Washington. Bishop Washington, my mother was concerned I was getting into politics. They brought us to Reverend William Jones. His daughter's traveling with us. And Reverend Jones introduced me to Jesse Jackson. I became his youth director in New York at 13. I liked Reverend Jackson because he was a little hipper than the older preachers. He was 27, I was 13 by the time I became youth director. So he was like a father figure to me. When I got about 40, he said, quit calling me father, call me big brother. We went to the car center, and James Meeks and Jesse Jr. and I had dinner with him that night. And that's where he said to us, Al, Meeks, Jesse Jr., y'all are my disciples. And we said, disciples? And for years we joked each other. I'd come in the room and Junior said, here's disciple number 1. But discipleship meant you carried forth the vision. The next day, he took me on the ferry to Goree Island, Mrs. Jackson. On Goree Island, he showed me where the slave camps were. And I will never forget, he said, Al, you see what that artifact is? I said, what's that? He said, they call it the door of no return. When you go through that door, you either made it to America to slavery, or you died in the Atlantic. The door of no return. But I talked to him about 3 years ago, and I reminded him, I said, remember when you brought me to the door of no return? He said, yeah. I said, well, we did return. We returned the President of the United States, Barack Obama. We returned the Vice President, Kamala Harris. We returned with businessmen. They thought they sent us as slaves. We came back as global liberators. The problem is that too many of us did not join the movements that sponsored us. And there was a breakout in 2024 called Negro Amnesia, where you forgot where you came from and forgot how you got where you got. Therefore, they're trying to take back everything you had.
How you doing?
It's simple.
I remember I was 12 years old. I was a boy preacher in the Church of God in Christ. Bishop Shear knew my bishop, Bishop Washington. Bishop Washington, my mother was concerned I was getting into politics. They brought us to Reverend William Jones. His daughter's traveling with us. And Reverend Jones introduced me to Jesse.
My stylist, Aisha McShaw, made this particularly for me to express the hard black but the gold. And I'm here tonight to say to these artists that we need to bring this world back to a level where we all exude what we have inside.
What about the Bezos that says cheers? How do you feel about that?
I think that every year I've come, they've had very wealthy people that supported MAGA.
and it didn't stop me from coming. They don't have enough money to keep me from talking to the artists. I came to support. We fought for years for diversity. I'm here to support Venus and Beyonce, and that's why I'm here. How do we fight and let a sponsor make us walk away from the people we fought for? And I salute Anna Wintour for making them co-chairs despite the controversy. My fashion sense is the ultimate African urban flavor, unapologetic. I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn
Keeping it real.
And
I'm your host,
gifts and talents.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. And we're having a little technical difficulties. We're in and out, but we are fixing them as I speak. Let me encourage you, hang with us. You on the message board, you can keep sending me messages, and you that want to line up your phone calls, you can do that at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And we are trying to get this straight. Maybe have to do one segment off my phone until they can find out what the glitch is. But I think we are getting it together. One of the things that is amazing to me is that people are not seeing the blatant attempt by this administration to, in any way they can, block the impact of our vote. I mean, this is not theory. They are in your face, trying to redraw district lines, trying to stop people from voting for the congressperson that has represented them, or the state rep. You got to remember these district lines will affect state representatives as well as congressional, as well as county. So we got work to do, and let's do it seriously and sincerely. And looking at the message board, I see Roderick McCoy saying, I'd like to hear what Nick Cannon, Snoop Dogg, Tim Scott, and others who socialize with Republicans think about the Supreme Court's ruling on Section 2 of the Constitution. Very interesting. Very interesting question. A very interesting proposition. And I think you're right. I think that, I think if people step out there and take a position, as some of them, as you named, have in support of Trump, they should be able to defend it. And they should not say, oh, y'all are picking on me. No, we're asking you a question. And I think that a lot of people want to step in to the pile and then don't have to deal with what comes with that. Interesting question. I see Kim Washington saying good afternoon, Reverend Al Sharpton and Nan family. And I think good afternoon to you, Kim. Terrell Goggins says we are on the verge of having fewer rights than our grandparents did. No doubt about that. With them neutralizing the Voting Rights Act, we are not on the verge, we're there, which is why we've got to fight every battle, and we've got to fight it with all that we have. And again, we are in constant calls. Are we on or what? We are on constant calls, Zoom calls, and other calls, trying to deal with the strategy going forward. A lot of it is we're waiting to see what the courts decide on the time these things go into effect. I'm one that's saying we just need to go ahead and organize now. We need to have a huge march in Washington to galvanize everybody nationwide. I'm already planning a 23-city tour to galvanize our vote. I think that we have no choice but to fight. Let me see. I'm not clear whether this has been fixed or not. So let's try to take some calls. Let's go to Ray in Cincinnati, Ohio. Ray. No, I don't.
I don't know. What you say?
I hear you. Go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody saw Rachel Maddow last night, but I left my notes. I'm out and about, and you'd be surprised some of the things that Trump rolled back that affect blacks. And I'm gonna name them. Everybody knows he's a racist. He started an insurrection, and he cheated on his wives with porn star. Now keep
Going in and out.
house tariffs and gas. Now, something's missing right there. You know, when that those three are the only things that they're against Trump on: the war, Epstein files, and tariffs. But the Senator Sherrod Brown, he's got a good chance of winning. He's got.
I'm getting on the message board that they can't hear the callers. I can't hear the caller. He's going in and out. If he calls me.
Hello?
Let's take a commercial and let's get this technical stuff up because this is good stuff we all need to hear. And I'll come back even if I got to be on the phone for a minute. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Reverend Sharpton, how do we begin to make peace with our past?
I don't think it's our obligation to make peace with our past. I think it's our obligation to learn from our past and to understand that soon we gonna be the past. I mean, a lot of us act like we gonna be permanent and that the past is the past. If we draw on the strengths of the past and uphold the dignity and the integrity of our people and then perform it at our highest level in our generation, as Dr. Moss said, that's our obligation. You know, one of the reasons that I've been so concerned about this cultural tone that we're in now is a lot of us have lost the dignity that our community has shown from Jamestown to now. I've questioned some of the artists that no longer sing to uplift us. And there's never been a generation that didn't use our music and our culture to lift us up. And the excuse is where they say, well, we just want to show what's there. But we never just accepted what was there. We always looked at what was there and looked through it and brought our people the way it needed to be. So in slavery time, we were singing Go Down Moses and Swing Low Sweet Chariot. We wasn't singing about the cotton picking nigga in the field. That's what we saw, but that's not what we sang. In slavery, in segregation time, we were singing We Shall Overcome. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. We wasn't singing the hoe in the back of the bus. So where is this coming from? And that's what we need to challenge. I wish, you know, all of this about our friend Barack announcing today, I wish Obama had announced here, because Lincoln did not free us. The abolitionist movement freed us. Lincoln accommodated to freedom fighters. He was not a freedom fighter. Kennedy accommodated the king. Johnson accommodated the king. We got to quit giving the wrong people credit for our history.
We need some room. All right, hold on. Michael Jackson is the highest selling artist of all time. No one has sold more records in the history of the planet than Michael Jackson. But Michael Jackson said to us, he did not want to just raise the issue of what's happening with him. He said that artists all over the world need people to stand up and protect their rights. And he said, Reverend, if we're going to stand up, if it's for all artists, I'm there. As you know, there's a big rally his fan club is doing this afternoon, but he said, I'm coming to Harlem this morning to meet with community leaders because we want justice in the music industry for all artists. Now there'll be some that say, oh, Michael, are you doing this only because of your situation? Michael came to Harlem 2 months ago for the DNC. Now he comes for his own peers because we discussed it. I was talking, Kathy and I talked about how we watched James Brown struggle, Little Richard struggle. We've seen artists, black and white and Latino struggle. Somewhere this has to stop. We do not buy records. We do not buy CDs to give money to the company. We buy it to support the artists that we like. And we want the artists to be free. We don't want the companies bigger than the artists. We want the people respected and the stars that we make stars to shine in the galaxy for us. So let me say this is the 4th of July weekend. Michael Jackson is an American story. Him and his family rose from Gary, Indiana, to where he's an icon all over the world. Didn't no one give him anything. He sung, he danced, he created, he produced, he spent hours in the studio. No executive did that for him. You do not have the right to take from someone what you didn't put in them. He created where he is. We appreciated it. We didn't hear about Michael when he got to Sony. We knew Michael at ABC when he was in Gary. They got thrilled when he did Thriller. We was already thrilled. We were already off the wall. And we coming off our seats to stand up for justice in the music industry. And let me say one more thing. I don't need that now I'm talking. Now we're on the rail. I want people to hear the message. Let me say something. I read one newspaper said, well, the record company saying they're going to wait and put out the best of Michael Jackson. You can't put out the best of Michael Jackson because the best of Michael Jackson is yet to come. He's still creating. He's still innovating. He's still the king. He's still ours and we are still his. Fans all over the world. Thousands came out in London. Thousands will come out in New York. All over the world, we're going to make it clear that our artists should not be paying back things they had no input in. The promotion budgets. James M. Tume will lay it out. The video budgets. All of this is charged to the artists, yet the artists have no discretion on what to say. So if they want to buy an ad with their friend, Michael can't tell them buy it in Jet Magazine because they decide the budget and charge it to the artists. That's why many of these artists have no money at the end of their career. But he wanted to fight while he was on top. So it will help your child not have to fight one day to go through what they've had to go through.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton.
Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. And let me go back to Ray. We're trying to work through these technical difficulties, but I'll work it on the phone.
As long as we can. Let's go back to Ray in Cincinnati. Ray, you were talking about, you got some facts, you took some notes from Rachel Maddow, and we missed a lot of that. So go ahead and give us what you were talking about. Yes, I hear you.
Christians and, white Christians, and they voted for Trump. A lot of them are, 70 million. So they can't forgive a guy that has 34 count felon. He's a sexual assaulter. He's a racist. He cheated on his wife with porn stars, and he started the insurrection. Now, that didn't bother those Catholics or those Christians. The only thing that bothered them was this war, the Good. Early vote turnout this past month has been good. So look for Sherrod Brown. If everybody comes out and vote now, I know you like to stress that, which is true, but Sherrod Brown looks like he's going to take Ohio back. And so
I know that. I know a lot of our people and our chapters in Cleveland with Marcia McCoy. I know our chapters in Columbus, Ohio.
Are pushing people out to vote. This is the day, primary day, for you to vote in Ohio. If you have not voted, vote today. And your district has not changed, but Ohio is extremely important. Vote nationally. We need you to come out and vote. Let me stay in Ohio. Let me go to Mustafa in Cincinnati. Mustafa. Is Mustafa there?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I just want to say, hey, today is primary election day. Vivek Ramaswamy wants to close community colleges here in Ohio, as well as HBCUs, and that's just not going to work. So vote against Vivek Ramaswamy because he don't do us no good. He mean us no good at all.
Well, and I thank you for that information. Ramaswamy is running, and as Ray said, the Sherrod Brown is running, who we know and has worked with a lot of our issues. So people should come out and vote. Let's go to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Brother Jacob is on WURD from Philadelphia. Yeah.
That being what it is, Rev, really, I'm just getting over. I found enough strength to get to the phone after that. What happened in Madison Square Garden there last night against my 76ers, man? It was a massacre, man. So I'm just coming to myself.
But we'll come back. I'll put it like that.
It was nasty. It was nasty.
Man, they spanked us like we stole something. But look, I still got to keep it in New York. He's an ancestor now, Notorious Big, Biggie Smalls. You was talking about the president. He said in this tune, if you don't know, now you know. See, we see what we got now. So it ain't no excuse for nobody. And you put out the call, America, we need you. We need all hands on deck, And, it's funny, Rev, we say and ask God to bless America, and we already know God don't bless no mess, right? And I ain't even talking to the people that wear the mega hats. We ain't talking about, but the majority of Americans, we got to try to make a more perfect union and let us do New York again. Spike Lee, he was there last night. Let us do the right thing, Rev. We could vote, and then we can pray, because Ray Charles can see our land need healing, right, Rev?
I think prayer without works is a dead thing, so you're right. Work and pray. Don't just pray, but work and pray. I spoke about that at Saturday's rally, that in the book of James said faith without works, what is it?
It's dead.
And it's a dead thing. And too many people run around claiming faith and claiming they're praying and claiming they're spiritually deep and do no work. And that's a sign you really don't have faith if you're scared to step out there. So I thank you for your call.
That's right.
And I thank you for your call. Let's go to Demetrius in Cleveland, Ohio, WERE. Demetrius.
Hey, thank you, Reverend Sharpton. I just want to speak when you brought up the subject earlier with the poll with American public concerning Donald Trump mental capabilities. Even though he seemed to go to the extreme, but on the other hand, I think he knows exactly what he's doing. When he cut a number of social programs, when he make moves in the government that enrich himself, when he encourage states, to draw illegal lines when it comes to the voting districts. So a lot of things he's doing, he's looking to preserve himself in office and to further his agenda. What he want to accumulate wealth for himself when it comes to wars overseas. That's why I believe it's the grounds for him to be impeached, because it's no excuse what he can bring up or his party can bring up. Saying you have some type of physical disability or mental disability, when all of this comes out into the light in the future, when he may can be prosecuted. Because there's other things he knows exactly what he's doing. And American public need to look at this country the way it's going backwards. It's going backwards to like countries that barely getting by, so-called third world countries. Utilities are high. People can't afford food. They standing in line. People can't afford medical treatment. So the American public got to look at this country. When it comes to dictatorship, it's exactly what this country is going to, a one-party ruled country. The standard of living going down in America. So those people who are bagging down to Trump, are they willing to lose their standard of living, having nice televisions, having nice schools, having nice medical facilities? All of this is gradually being taken away.
I think
open their eyes and see that.
I think you raised some good points there, Demetrius, and I think also you had to remember that we not only are in the middle of this takeover of the election so they can cheat and win. We're in the middle of an international dispute that is at war in Iran. We're on the wrong side of Ukraine and Russia. This president has put us in some extremely precarious positions. And you could see one move either way that knocks us out. Hold on, let me take my break, and I'll come back to you right after the break. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Yeah, I'm out at Brooklyn. Now I'm down in Tribeca, right next to the Narrow. But I'll be hood forever. I'm the new Sinatra. And since I made it here, I can make it anywhere. Yeah, they love me everywhere. I used to cop in Harlem. All of my Dominicanos right there up on Broadway. Pulled me back to that McDonald's. Took it to my stash spot, 560 State Street. Catch me in the kitchen like a Simmons whipping pastry. Cruising down A Street, off-white Lexus. Driving so slow, but BK is from Texas. Me, I'm out that Bed-Stuy, home of that boy Biggie. Now I live on Billboard, and I brought my boys with me. Say what up to Tata, still sipping my top. Sitting courtside, Knicks and Nets give me high five. I be spiked out, I could trip a referee. Tell by my attitude that I most definitely from.
It's so high off the ground, sending for an angel to bring me high. Girl, where did you come from? Got me so undone. Gazing your eyes got me saying, what a beautiful lady. No ifs, ands, or maybe. I'm releasing my heart and it's feeling amazing. There's no one else that matters. You love me, and I won't let you fall, girl.
Don't
get it twisted. Everybody hollering loud ain't saying something. We need activists that are at large, but we need those that will continue these institutions and these organizations. If you are what you should be, you don't have to have nobody step aside. People will push you up.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you're very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I had to learn.
Right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
when Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor stayed right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old, with the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down. Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can go to our message board at nationalactionnetwork.net. And I think that we've got a lot going on that we really need discuss and get down. I'm going back to Demetrius, but I see Ray Wilson saying on our message board, baby boomers and X generation should know better than to vote for these Republicans. Well, that's true, because in the age of both the boomers and the X generation, Republicans have been the one as a party against our interests. So that's not just a partisan statement Ray is saying. That is the fact of where they decided they would be.
Let's remember, when people talk about Lincoln was Republican and did the Emancipation Proclamation after pressure, the Republicans left us. We didn't leave them. They left us in the middle of the 20th century and went against the Civil Rights Act. Then blacks started going to who was with them, like any other group would do in this country. So we started under Kennedy and then Johnson, because they did the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act that was with us. We wasn't born Democrat, we was born black, needing to be dealt with equally and fairly. All right, go ahead, Demetrius. I'm back to you.
Okay, yes, okay. Well, the rest of what you were saying, because from my understanding is as well, the Republican Party, they did abandon us at the close of really about Reconstruction. They left black people to the mercy of took away a lot of the rights, that the Civil War did win. So African Americans did just go to the party. Who did was trying to help, reestablish those rights, during the 60s and 50s. But as I was saying earlier, the American public has to realize, when this country try to take away the freedom of the press, when Donald Trump and Patella want to sue the press, or they threaten those who speak out against his administration, even threaten the lawyers, the bars. The bars of the different states, so some lawyers even scared to cast any lawsuits against this administration, against the government, because they feel like they're going to be punished somehow in the court system with the judges. When you have ICE out threatening people, as some groups, almost like his squad, speak out against Donald Trump, they're looking for people where they live at, send notes to them, So it's going to like countries that just have dictatorships, have a military rule. So people have to see the writing on the wall where this country is leading to. If they don't want to live like that, they have to try to remove those who in office who back in this administration. Because the longer they back the administration, the more rights he's going to try to take away. Because to me, his aim is to want to be full control of the government like Putin is in Russia. That's his way mentor. So American people have to realize that, and they don't want just one group of people to accumulate all the wealth. The rest of the country is going to have to live as second-class citizens. They're going to have the same access to education. They don't want to be taken advantage of, no matter what race they are, because when it comes to that dividing of the wealth, just a certain group of people are going to keep it, no matter the other groups, black or white or any other nationality. They don't want to keep the wealth for themselves. They don't want to share the African Americans, and they're not going to want to share the Hispanics, Indians from India, or anywhere else. They don't want to keep the wealth for themselves. So people have to realize that, and don't fall victim to thinking they're going to get a share of the pie, because it's not going to work like that. It's just going to be used as a tool. And when it comes to African Americans, any other group, they can't settle for the bottom of the barrel when it comes to receiving the benefits, because it's more to the world than just living in a small section of the city. You want to have access to education, you want to have access to proper jobs, proper pay. Our horizon is bigger than just here in the city. The young people that realize, crime is not on the way to make a living. A lot of that is shown through the music. It is shown through the television, shown through the movies. Better have better role models and inspire people to know that they can reach for a better way of living, and not just committing crimes and thinking that's on which to accumulate wealth. That we have to put our mind to more economically come together and support people who strive and willing to help us when it comes to voting. Got to vote for people who have character. You have some people among our own race, those among other races. They out for themselves. That's why you have to hold them accountable when they stay in office. You got to have some caring about the community in a legitimate way and willing to help people out and not just go along with just the political process, but remember why they was elected. And like I said, people who voted them have to hold them accountable, and make sure that they do care about people and they not partiality when it comes to providing services. That's not just for those elected, but for all people in their districts, no matter what nationality or race they are or culture. Thank you, Larry Sharpton.
Thank you for your call, Demetrius. And let's go to Disco Brian in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The Word.
Hey, Rev. Thank you. And you looked great last night, I just want to say, at the Met Gala, man. Wow.
Oh, thank you. No, let me say this. So I give clarity to everybody listening. The Met Gala goes on every year, and it's considered the elite fashion showbiz set of the year. The stars come out, big business people come out, and it's at Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. All the money goes to the museum. And there was this year, Beyonce and Venus Williams had agreed to co-chair it. We have for years, we being National Action Network, at the encouragement of Andre Leon Talley, who was one of the pioneers in black fashion, said they don't include us not only in the Met Gala, but in contracts and in other things. So we started fighting it, and we met with Anna Winter and others and started seeing more black inclusion. And then for the last 3 years, they invited me to come. Last year, the whole Met Gala was around dandy dress in the Harlem Renaissance. And this year, as I said, Beyonce and Venus were put in as co-chairs. Then out of nowhere, we find that Jeff Bezos, who owned Amazon and other things, was going to give the main money. And some people, including, and rightfully so, those members of the union that he would not recognize or wanted to boycott it because of his money. And my position was that if they are not going to change Beyonce and them, every year I've gone, you've had right-wingers there that wrote the checks. The first year I went, you had Alex Soros, who they claim is the left-wing financier, sitting at the same table with me, with Steve Schwarzman of Blackstone, who's one of the biggest contributors to Donald Trump. So how are we going to do this when every year y'all have big right-wingers? Now, Bezos may be a bigger right-winger, in your opinion, but you got to have one rule, and you can't do it at the expense of Beyonce and Venus. So that was my position, because I knew if I said I'm not going, then they were going to say to Beyonce and them, oh, so y'all shouldn't go. Al Sharpton said it. So I said I'm going to say that I'm certainly not with Bezos, but I'm not going to let the diversity fight that we have and the fact that Beyonce and them have agreed to this and contracted walking there by themselves. So that's why I went, and Aisha McShaw did my suit as she did the last 2 times. And I'm going to keep fighting in the fashion industry. But let me tell you something. Once you start making the marker that you're not dealing with anybody that is conservative, then you make sure you put a marker there that you hold that line for everything and everybody. Last night, when I sat down, Soros was there, who funds a lot of the left-wing things. So he can go and I shouldn't go. We got to have the game played by one set of rules. I'm glad you brought that up so I could address that for people to understand my position. But go ahead.
Rev, you're not going to get any shade from me. Nah. I want you, I want you everywhere as the moral reminder. You need to be everywhere, and you need to be in their faces, and you need to never say no. And if Anna Winter is keeping DEI as a tenet of the Met Gala against the wishes of the fascists, then guess what? people need to shut up about you showing up and being there as that moral reminder. So thank you for going, Rev. And you looked amazing. And hello, AOC went and wore a tax the rich dress. Does anyone remember that? I bet they weren't complaining then.
AOC definitely went. And a lot of others. So, I'm not worried about people complaining. I mean, I'm in public life. You're going to get it from the right and the left. And guess what? They better know I'm going to give it back to them. Hypocrisy. That's why I say Soros was there last night. Like you said, AOC, so it's different rules for blacks that are progressives. I ain't bound to that. But go ahead. You call for something else.
Rev.
Let's go.
Yeah, no, I called. I called just to let you know that.
Let me take a break and come back on what you wanted to talk about. Let's take our break. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive on tomorrow night and beyond. Young America, hold your head high now. We can win. You must never stop dreaming. Face reality, yes, but don't stop with the way things are. Dream of things as they ought to be. Dream. Face pain, but love, hope, faith, and dreams will help you rise above the pain. Use hope and imagination as weapons of survival and progress, but you keep on dreaming, young America. Dream of peace. Peace is rational and reasonable. War is irrational in this age and unwinnable. Dream of teachers who teach for life and not for living. Dream of doctors who are concerned more about public health than private wealth. Dream of lawyers more concerned about justice and a judgeship. Dream of preachers who are concerned more about prophecy than profiteering. Dream on the high road with sound values. You must never surrender to inequality.
It's been a long time coming, but I know.
1968, Dr. Martin King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network for always in the month he was killed to let them know they killed the dreamer.
But I have a dream today.
When they came for the dream.
So we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in.
Yes, sir. We were here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses.
Sir, it's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine. Good. Last time, and we
Alexander Shaw.
How many slaves were staying there?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have the slavery.
Yeah, that's when, exactly. That was, exactly.
I just remember the two people that most influenced my life were from South Carolina, James and Jesse. Jesse right up the road with me. I went over his mother's funeral. Jesse walked me to my mother's casket. Wow. South Carolina. That's the balance of my life, James and Jesse.
Yeah.
Civil rights, shoulders.
But also where your people from too.
Literally.
Yeah, right.
And when I knew Jesse was from James, I started president.
Yeah.
And James had died before I knew about it in South Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah. James died December 25th. He died Christmas Day, 06. And they came to do the story for February of 07. They came in January. His daughter swear that was his daddy and having pushing the information out.
Wow.
And I called Jesse and told me, you know that my great-grandfather was a slave about 45, because Greenville right up to I-20. He said, I told you we was connected. That's why you gotta listen to me. But nah. How you doing? I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them,
the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talents in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones, and too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors.
Keeping it
If
real.
they got to open doors for
I
me,
am your host,
they mean that they
Reverend
want
Al
to
Sharpton. Let's go back to Disco Brian in Philadelphia. Disco Brian.
Hey, Rev. Yeah, just good news, if I can, local news, and one closing thought, if there's time. I want to let the audience know that Lindsay and I have just uploaded our new interview with Miss Carolyn Ruff at Disco Brian Davis on YouTube and Substack. We had the pleasure of meeting Miss Carolyn at the NAN convention. She is a beautiful freedom fighter, a member of the Rainbow Push Coalition, and founding member of Black Lives Matter Women of Faith. She became one of the public faces in the fight for justice for Laquan McDonald. And in our conversation, she speaks with the moral clarity and lived experience of a real freedom fighter. A lot of love for you and what you are doing in there, Rev, too. So that's good news. Local news is the PA Capital Star just reported that the Pennsylvania House Judiciary Committee advanced a 6-bill package to combat child sex trafficking, and that only one representative cast the no vote on one of those bills, and that was Representative Chris Rabb. He cast the no on Bill 910 in the 6-bill package to combat child sex trafficking. His no vote was would have raised the penalty in certain infant tracking cases from a misdemeanor to a felony. So he voted that down, and to me, that's yet another reason he should probably not be sent to Congress from the 3rd District. The Democratic primary here in Philly is 14 days away, May 19th. And if people want somebody with a real record of fighting back, they should look hard at State Senator Sharif Street, the first Muslim state senator to lead PA Senate Democrats, who has a proven legislative record and is somebody publicly tied to Pennsylvania Democrats' successful court fights. I think 14 of them. He's won all of them against Trump's election attacks. So that's State Senator Sharif Street. My closing thought, Rev, and warning for you and your audience, I haven't shared this with you, but the first time I ever heard the acronym AIPAC was when I was about 11 or 12. And it was a white father figure who had a book. He was raised in the Deep South. He had a book about how AIPAC controlled the government. And this is the same white man who told me that you can never trust a Jew because Jews are predisposed to be liars. He's the same guy who told me that Jews control the media. The same man who told me Mexicans were predisposed to do menial labor because they weren't good thinkers. And I'm not going to tell you what this white man who hated the Jews and Mexicans told me about my childhood heroes, Michael Jackson and Prince. But I will say that I had some adult white men call me an N-word lover when I was about 9 or 10 for my love of Prince and Michael Jackson. And those are the same guys, white men, in my family circle who told me how shows like Seinfeld were normalizing Jewish influence. And that was back in the 80s and 90s, way before Tucker Carlson started making the anti-Semitic great replacement theory mainstream. So I just wanted to leave that with you, Rev. Good news. If anybody wants to see Carolyn Ruff and learn about her beautiful story, it's on Disco Brian Davis. And vote like democracy depends on it, Philly, because it does. Bless you, Rev. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you for your call. On our message board, I see that Forensic Accounting said, breaking news, the New York Times is reporting the GOP proposes $1 billion for Trump ballroom in immigration bill. I think that is on his face what it is. Clearly, they're trying to take now public money to take care of his ballroom. And they intend to pass the measure despite Democratic opposition. We need to really be we need to really be against that. And I think that we should absolutely, unequivocally make sure that's part of the primaries. DJ Biggs writes, everyone who are against FBA freedmen are whites and those who share the same skin but different geographics but came to the U.S. They use y'all as pawns and puppets to go against FBA freedmen. First of all, I don't know who FBA freedmen is, so I don't know how they're using us. And second of all, pawns against what? When I don't know what the group is. And that's why I've said the people that have called or come, if it would seem to me before you assume somebody's against you, you'd explain what it is that you are trying to represent rather than come and attacking people. Because then you give people the feel that you think that they're so weak that they don't understand what they are for. I don't have a problem with debating anybody, discussing anything with anybody, but don't assume I know what you're talking about. I don't even know what FBA is because it's never been explained to me. I know what ADOS is, and I've talked to some of them. So I think that a lot of misconceptions could be straightened out if we talk like we grown and respect each other rather than come and attacking, because you attack, folk gonna answer to defend themselves because they're not afraid. We have been attacked all our lives, so I'm not afraid to answer somebody's attack. But don't assume I even know what I don't know what the group is. I don't know what you stand for. So nobody using me as a pawn, including you. Let's go to Frank, my ace Boone Coon in West Side Chicago. He'll get on me for saying South Side. He says the West Side is the best side. Frank?
Brother, I sure would get on you if you said South Side. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing well.
No, yes, you are. Brother, let me say this real quick. Brother, I swear to the good Lord, we're going to get this White House back, and we need to put some serious pressure on the first order of business. Tear that new ballroom down. Don't go to Congress. Do like he just start tearing it up. Okay, I would donate to build a new one. I think right now that the next order of business reverse every executive order Donald Trump put in place. Got to start getting things back on track. I think the last caller got some very sick people in his family. But I like Joe Biden because Joe Biden mentioned the fact that every Caucasian family has that element in it. One-sided family, and that's sad. I think people that the Republican Party is in for a big surprise come election time. With all this jurymen they call themselves doing, all the taking from us. I mean, I think the only one that's really sticking with Donald Trump are the rich Republicans that can afford what he said with everyone else. Reverend Allen, I love the way you broke down. I think about a week ago, I was listening every day, and it reminded me of the story of Job, how Job lost everything. But you didn't mention Job's name, but you were saying how everything was taken away from us before. And even before we even got into politics, we come out of bondage. Our ancestors, they didn't have no political power that they read.
That's right.
No representation, no nothing.
That's right.
It was the people. You see what I'm saying? So people, the Republican Party, they don't understand how, if you don't learn your lesson from history, you're going to end up repeating it. And the same thing can happen. And they didn't take everything away from us. And they're not finished yet. And we are putting the pedal to the metal, and we're going to do just like Joe. We're going to keep our faith, because God is watching all this.
Oh, no doubt about it.
God is in this.
No doubt about it.
That's right.
All right.
And I'm so happy to see the majority of the callers that called in. They staying strong right now. We're going to keep that faith, and we need to make just one more push. Let's do this one before I hop on. Let's do one last thing. Instead of making sure we bring someone with us to vote, let's grab a youngster who will be voting for the very first time come November and in 2028, okay? and grab one who didn't vote 4 years ago for Kamala Harris. We got to start opening our youngsters' eyes up, because if we can get the young people, 18, I believe, to 25 right now, 18 to 32, something like that, if we can get them to vote in the same numbers as our middle or our elders, we can take over this country to put everything back. So that should be our oath to ourselves. I'm going to go out there. I'm definitely going to take 2 young people with me right now.
Yeah.
And they will be telling them, oh, I'm going to vote. I'm going, why are you going to vote? Because there is a difference between the Republican and Democratic Party. Anyone who thinks there isn't is a fool. Big difference. If Kamala Harris was in that office, we wouldn't be doing none of this nonsense that we did now. But they think they're going to take everything from us. We're going to get it right back, and we're going to keep the faith. Let's stay strong, y'all. Make a play. Let's grab some youngsters as well right now.
I love it.
Good advice, Red.
I love it. That's great advice. Thank you for your call, as always. Let's take this break. We'll be right back. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton. Keeping it real. Be right back.
I remember I was 12 years old. I was a boy preacher in the Church of God in Christ. Bishop Shear knew my bishop, Bishop Washington. Bishop Washington, my mother was concerned I was getting into politics. They brought us to Reverend William Jones. His daughter's traveling with us. And Reverend Jones introduced me to Jesse Jackson. I became his youth director in New York at 13. I liked Reverend Jackson because he was a little hipper than the older preachers. He was 27, I was 13 by the time I became youth director. So he was like a father figure to me. When I got about 40, he said, quit calling me father, call me big brother. We went to the car center, and James Meeks and Jesse Jr. and I had dinner with him that night. And that's where he said to us, Al, me, Jesse Jr., y'all are my disciples. And we said, disciples? And for years, we joked each other. I'd come in the room and Junior said, here's disciple number 1. But discipleship meant you carried forth the vision. The next day, he took me on the ferry to Goree Island, Mrs. Jackson. On Goree Island, he showed me where the slave camps were. And I will never forget, he said, Al, you see what that artifact is? I said, what's that? He said, they call it the door of no return. When you go through that door, you either made it to America to slavery, or you died in the Atlantic. The door of no return. But I talked to him about 3 years ago. And I reminded him, I said, remember when you brought me to the door of no return? He said, yeah. I said, well, we did return. We returned the President of the United States, Barack Obama. We returned the Vice President, Kamala Harris. We returned with businessmen. They thought they sent us as slaves. We came back as global liberators. The problem is that too many of us did not join the movements that sponsored us. And there was a breakout in 2024 called Negro Amnesia, where you forgot where you came from and forgot how you got where you got. Therefore, they're trying to take back everything you had. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton time. It's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. You need to keep it real with Reverend Al Sharpton right here on Uber TV.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is. You know, every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday mornings with Reverend Al Sharpton. And I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people, hear from them, the call-in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Listen to my show, call in, express your opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But let's start talking to each other rather than about each other and lecturing at each other. Let's keep it real with Sharpton.
Happy 20th anniversary to Reverend Al Sharpton on 20 years of Keeping It Real. 2 decades of truth-telling, fearless advocacy, and keeping the people informed and empowered. Thank you for always speaking power to justice and standing firm for what's right. Here's to 20 years of impact and many more to come.
There's nothing wrong with that. Now, that doesn't mean you become narcissistic, where you think the whole world's about you. But no, you develop a strong, healthy ego. That's right, I said it. Nothing wrong with a strong, healthy ego that makes you determined to be what others gave up on being, who may have had ability to be it, but they were too weak and they didn't think enough of themselves to do it. Think enough of yourself to do something with yourself. Unapologetic. And it is also in self-awareness and self-acknowledgement and pushing yourself forward. Again, not in a narcissistic way, not in a it's me and only me way. Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Don't forget Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time every Saturday and Sunday. And I'm telling you, you would be surprised, because I'm surprised, at the people that tell me everywhere I go, even some of the top people in fashion industry was saying to me last night how they watch the show to get information. And I'm not bragging, but I am, that we get the top names and go right at the issues. I see some shows that they like to get their friends and lollygag around. It's business with me. I think that it's too serious a time and having too serious a medium to give people information. And I thank you all for supporting the show this past weekend. The viewership was high and engaged, and we have even more reason this weekend as we see this Iranian situation is not abating. It's getting worse. Gas is $4. Average gas is $4.48 a gallon, going up. With people that are already dealing with a shaky economy, the redistricting fight is getting worse because now you have other states saying they're going to do it. So I'm going to put feet to the fire and have people on to deal with these issues. I'm already calling some of our governors, members of Congress, and I get them every week, as you saw last weekend. So watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now. The Saturday Action Rally, which we've been holding at the historic Mother AME Zion Church, and we're starting to organize I announced last weekend, we're doing our voter brigades. I'm going to be organizing all over the country brigades to go in, knock on doors, work with people, get their votes out, go to the churches, go to the fraternities. We cannot get this done without people on the ground doing the work. And we're going to lay that out again Saturday in more detail. Make sure you, if you're in the Connecticut, New York, New Jersey area, you meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally in Harlem, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., 137th Street and Lenox Avenue. I'll be there. You that are not in the New York area, you can watch it live on Impact Television and or nationalactionnetwork.net or YouTube/NAN. And thousands have been watching. Many have been sending in. I've asked for 100,000 people to pledge or give $500 for our building fund now that we bought the firehouse in Harlem. And some of you already have. And some of you, all you got to do is go to the website and make your pledge or send what you can. So we already own the building. We need to just pay the mortgage off. Also, this weekend is Mother's Day weekend, and I certainly have a special Mother's Day weekend this Saturday at the Saturday Rally. All right, let me get ready to go back to the phones and to the message board. I saw CD No Handle says, why doesn't FBA go strategize and come with a plan instead of being crybabies and political gnats going into chat rooms of people you claim not to rock with? Go away then. Again, I don't know who FBA is. I'm not calling them crybabies or whatever. I come out of Brooklyn. I grew up in Brooklyn. And we would debate. I was in the Pentecostal church, Church of God in Christ, later Baptist. We would debate everything we wanted on the streets, corners, from the 5%ers to the Nation of Islam to atheists, everything. I'm for a healthy discussion, but if you lead with calling me a name, I'm gonna back you up because you got the wrong one. If you got something to say, especially if you're talking about repairing the damage done to us, you can't do it by damaging us yourself, coming in, calling people names, assuming with their that they, just telling people to, I mean, come on. Have an intelligent discussion. You got one with me. Want to go to selling wolf tickets? We can do that too. Either way. But again, I really don't know what the group is. So I don't say I got something against the group. I don't know what they are. I do answer people that just arbitrarily decide they're going to be disruptive, because I'm not going to have that. I'm not going to have that. Let's just put it that way. So you know more than I do right now. All right, let's go to Joe in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Joe, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton, to your producer. I just want to say I respectfully disagree with Disco Bryant and stuff. Chris Roberts, progressive candidate, and he's a man. He's the man of the people and stuff.
Well, now, wait a minute, slow. So we all know, because I don't know. You're talking about the race he just mentioned in Philly.
Yeah, the 3rd Congressional District to replace Dwight Evans.
And you're saying the candidate that you're saying is good is who?
It's Chris Robb. That's who I'm voting for. And see,
no, I want you to be able to get his name out. People can't vote for your candidate.
Oh, Chris Robb.
Okay, go ahead.
You're Chris Robb. You're Chris Robb. That's his name. But see, here's the thing, Reverend Al. Is it coincidental that Brian don't like him because he's one of the few candidates that called Israel out for the genocide? It's not that he's anti-Semitic because he got friends like, and look, here in Philadelphia, I'm a Muslim in the Nation of Islam. Our marches for white brothers and sisters from the Jewish Voices for Peace. They're against what's going over there in Israel. See, because you condemn AIPAC. Now, I don't know what that white man he was talking about, what his views is, but AIPAC, in my view, and the many people that think like me, are dangerous because they know what Israel's doing over there is committing genocide, and yet they still look the other way, and they want to fund candidates. You get rid of candidates, whether they be black or white, that speak out against the genocide in Gaza. You know what I mean? And to me, they know different than any other racist organization. If you can't see the humanity in Palestinian people, or like these are the same people that couldn't see the humanity in black people. So anybody that support AIPAC or get money from AIPAC, I have no respect for because I know what they're about and stuff like that. And it's always this notion to shut people up because you criticize Israel or you say something that you can see with your own eyes what's going on over there is wrong. When you criticize or you are anti-Semitic or you're anti-Jewish, again, nothing could be further from the truth. Because like I said, here in Philadelphia, Reverend Al, I've marked the white brothers and sisters from George Bush for Peace, and they can't stand Netanyahu because they know what he's about.
Well, let me tell you something. Let me say this, brother. I am totally against Netanyahu. I'm not anti-Israel or anti-Semitic. I'm totally against Netanyahu. I don't, and I've never received directly, indirectly any AIPAC money. So I'm glad you making your case, and I think that it is a misconception that people that are opposed to Netanyahu are anti-Semitic. Netanyahu is not all Jews, and there are many.
No, he's not.
That Joe is correct. There are many people that are against what's going on in Palestine, including me, that are joined by Jews that are against it. And I think that let's have a fair debate. Let's not go and just act like just name calling is going to sit things down. So I'm glad you called, express your point of view. Feel free to call.
Thank you, Reverend Al. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate your call. And I appreciate Brian. We can have a disagreement on political candidates without being disagreeable, but everybody got a right to this forum. That's why we have it. Let's go to Rick in Germany. Rick.
Good day, Brother Sharpton. Good day.
Good day.
The last caller is a hard act to follow. I have a personal short story, man. My mother, I know Mother's Day is coming up, and my mother was ushered into the military, and she was a bearded female freak. She was made a medical study by members of the intelligence community, and my family suffered humiliation and degradation and homelessness at their experimentation. Washington, D.C. struggles with homelessness and the games played in police families and military families. And I just want to say that black people should think carefully before engaging in what do you call it? Psychotherapeutic therapy. Choose your psychotherapist carefully. That's all I had to say, Brother Man.
All right, Rick. Thank you for your call. And I agree with that. sometimes you go to therapists that need therapy. Be careful who you go to. Go. I mean, I'm not against therapy, but know who your therapist really is. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. Keeping it real.
How you doing?
We need some room. All right, hold on. Michael Jackson is the highest selling artist of all time. No one has sold more records in the history of the planet than Michael Jackson. But Michael Jackson said to us, he did not want to just raise the issue of what's happening with him. He said that artists all over the world need people to stand up and protect their rights. And he said, Reverend, if we're going to stand up, if it's for all artists, I'm there. As you know, there's a big rally his fan club is doing this afternoon, but he said, I'm coming to Harlem this morning to meet with community leaders because we want justice in the music industry for all artists. Now there'll be some that say, oh, Michael, are you doing this only because of your situation? Michael came to Harlem 2 months ago for the DNC. Now he comes for his own peers because we discussed it. Kathy and I talked about how we watched James Brown struggle, Little Richard struggle. We've seen artists, black and white and Latino struggle. Somewhere this has to stop. We do not buy records. We do not buy CDs to give money to the company. We buy it to support the artists that we like. And we want the artists to be free. We don't want the companies bigger than the artists. We want the people respected and the stars that we make stars to shine in the galaxy for us. Let me say this is for of July weekend? Michael Jackson is an American story. Him and his family rode from Gary, Indiana, to where he's an icon all over the world. Didn't no one give him anything. He sung, he danced, he created, he produced, he spent hours in the studio. No executive did that for him. You do not have the right to take from someone what you didn't put in them. He created where he is. We appreciated it. We didn't hear about Michael when he got to Sony. We knew Michael with ABC when he was in Gary. They got thrilled when he did Thriller. We was already thrilled. We were already off the wall. And we coming off our seats to stand up for justice in the music industry. But let me say one more thing. I don't need that loud talking now. We're on the rail. I want people to hear the message. Let me say something. I read one newspaper say, well, the record company saying they're going to wait and put out the best of Michael Jackson. You can't put out the best of Michael Jackson because the best of Michael Jackson is yet to come. He's still creating. He's still innovating. He's still the king. He's still ours and we are still his. Fans all over the world. Thousands came out in London. Thousands will come out in New York. All over the world, we're going to make it clear that our artists should not be paying back things they had no input in. The promotion budgets. James M. Tume will lay it out. The video budgets. All of this is charged to the artists, yet the artists have no discretion on what to say. So if they want to buy an ad with their friend, Michael can't tell them buy it in Jet Magazine because they decide the budget and charge it to the artists. That's why many of these artists have no money at the end of their career. But he wanted to fight while he was on top, so it will help your child not have to fight one day to go through what they've had to go through. Sammy Davis Jr. died broke. His wife had to become a waitress. Michael said, I owe it to Sammy. I owe it to James Brown. I owe it to Little Richard. We're going to stop this once and for all.
Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on.
I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Just break. I believe that.
Good morning, everybody. I hope the coffee has kicked in by now. I want to start by thanking your leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, and everyone at the National Action Network for 35 years of standing up for civil rights and opportunity for everyone.
And I couldn't be more grateful for the way that you have blessed the lives of so many, including mine.
As we look today on King Day, let us not forget that we had to struggle to even have this day. They did not wake up one morning and say, let's give a federal holiday to Martin Luther King. People petitioned, people marched. Let us remember now, as we bring our children and grandchildren up the Potomac, that they can see the Washington Monument, the Keeping It Real, Keeping It Real Memorial, and one memorial, your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Let's go back to the phones, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, and I'm joined, as I am every Tuesday for this last hour of Keeping It Real, by the senior pastor of the First Corinthian Baptist Church of Harlem, member of the National Board of the National Action Network, the Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron. How you doing, Reverend?
Pretty good, Reverend Sharpton. How are you today?
Pretty good, pretty good. Now, let me, always anxious to get your view and look forward to Tuesdays for the opportunity to hear your view. As we are looking at over the last week since you on, what has happened in terms of the Supreme Court decision in terms of Louisiana, which basically just cut out and gutted the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And then we look at the redistricting fights now jumping up in Florida, jumping up now in Alabama and other places. Democrats saying they're going to do maybe even New York redistricting battles. Give me the overview, as you are as much of a scholar as you are a preacher. Give me the overview of where this puts us in American history. We understood the era of slavery, the era of Reconstruction. We understood the era of ending Reconstruction. I mean, what are we looking at now more than just a daily, this state going to do this state going to do that? It seems to me we're at a particular crossroad in American history.
I think, Rev, man, that's such a multifaceted question. I'll try to give a couple of quick responses. I was in Houston preaching Sunday, and I was talking to the pastor, and I think you might agree with me, Rev, on this. We are at a point, quite honestly, legally, I'm not saying it's going to be done, but Rev, do you realize that if some folk want to put up white-only signs and colored-only signs, there will be no legal recourse right now?
That's right.
If you think about it. And someone said, that's a little drastic. I said, no, that's not drastic. That is not drastic. I said, when we look at what the Supreme Court has done over the last several years, and with this final blow to the Voting Rights Act, plus the undermining of affirmative action, plus the demonization of DEI, we're at that point. We're really back in a moment where we may begin to see Jim Crow in another form. You always talk about, James Crow Esquire. We're deeply in that space right now, where we're seeing that it doesn't feel like we have any legal recourse. This was a thing in the civil rights movement that they were confident. They put their hope in, was that the courts would do the right thing. The courts would stand on the side of justice. And in many ways, the courts did. Not the case now. So that's on one level. You're moving into an era where even the fights that are in front of us to face, we are not guaranteed in this season that legally we will have the support of the courts as we may have in the 50s, 60s to a degree.
Right.
I think that's one thing. I think the other thing is because of that, it has given birth to a feeling of impotence with people who want to do something, who are confused. How do we fight this? How do we engage this moment? So you have several people who feel like not only that the reality is daunting, but they feel more helpless than we have in several decades. That's another piece to it. I think the other side is, if you think about what the Supreme Court said, and I'll kind of reduce it to terms that I think, and you would agree with me, They're not concerned with discrimination. They've basically said that you can't penalize someone for discriminating.
Right.
So we're not concerned with discrimination, but you don't have a right to tell somebody they can't discriminate. That's basically what they just did.
Well, the way you broke it down is exactly right.
Absolutely. And so now you see what's happening. So now you have states who are saying, hey, let's put a pause on these midterms while we get some things together to make sure that certain people in our states will no longer have political power. This is amazing. So we're in a moment. This is not about just rolling back accomplishments. This is rolling back this country and reversing where we've been to take us back to a place that we thought we had been delivered from. And now what has to happen, Reverend, I will say that I said this week to some folk, we got to pause right now. We can't be so filled with anger that we simply react. We have to do what we saw our people, those who fought for decades did. We got to pull back and reorganize and rethink and reimagine the work we're called to do in this season, because they've been doing it. They've been rethinking. They've been planning. They've been working. We have to do that now, because what it's going to take to fight this season is radically different than it took 50 years ago, because we can't be confident that the courts will do the right thing. And not to cry over spilled milk, Rev, but I got to cry a little bit over spilled milk. I'm going to take all this back to 2016. I don't like Hillary. I'm not a fan of Hillary. I'm going to vote third party, or I'm not going to vote at all. We will be able to historically look back at 2016 election as the beginning of this avalanche of insanity in so many ways, Rev.
No doubt about it. And I'm glad you led with what you said about the race factor in the Supreme Court decision about voting rights, Section 2, because literally they can sit in a district and say that we're going to draw these lines so that we can minimize the strength of ends, using the whole word end. And you can't even go question it, because the question it is to say is based on race, and you can't bring up race. They call you the N-word, and you can't say nothing. And I mean, this is that bizarre. This is that far out there. And I think that people don't understand the gravity of this and the ugliness of the people that are going to take advantage of this, which is why we've got to back them up with a strategy. And I am not talking about no laying in around to Harvard for a year or two. I'm talking about hitting our communities now, but strategically, and fighting this. Because these people are dangerous. These are the people that were going to the United States Capitol and chase the vice president down the hall saying they're going to lynch him. So, I mean, you're not talking about people that give less than two happies about your rhetoric, your planning meeting, none of that. These people are absolutely bent on going back to the the pre-Reconstruction days, and will tell you that if you press them. And I think that we just have to realize that. I just don't think many of us, I won't even say many of us realize it, Dr. Warren. I think many of us just don't want to accept it, because then it puts more of a responsibility on us on how we respond to it.
It is unprecedented, Rev. It is a critical time. And I think people cannot let the anxiety that many may be feeling in this moment shape our course of action, right? And I think that's the most important thing right now. I think we're in a moment where we have to pull back. I mean, I remember several months ago, maybe last year, and before that, we talked about how we saw Roe v. Wade overturned, and we talked about how these folk were unrelenting for 50 years until they saw what they wanted to see happen, until the things lined up right. You had the right president, the right court. And I think I'm not saying we have to wait 50 years, but we have to be just as committed, just as intentional, just as strategic as we move forward and play a long game at this point. Because at this point, we're not fighting just for the moment. You know, we're fighting for our grandchildren. Because the world that they may come up again, if things do not shift, will be a world that was experienced over 50 years ago by many of our folks. So it's a very interesting moment historically, Rev.
No doubt about it. On our web, on our message board, Big Dad Zilla says third party got Clinton, Obama, Biden, and Trump elected. What's wrong with voting third party? Well, if you wanted to get them elected, what's wrong with voting for them directly? Why you got to go?
Yes.
I mean, I don't understand the argument. If you're saying third party will help these people, then what's the point of the third party when you can help them direct, unless you got a point of view that they're not doing? That don't make sense to me.
No, that's a foolish argument. Third party did not get Obama elected, did not get it's amazing he's pointing out Democrats. Third party may have definitely gotten Trump elected in 2016.
Right.
So we know where this person stands. Third party did not get Obama elected or Biden elected. That's a fallacy. So that's not the case. But it's amazing how sometimes, Rev, how these third party candidates come up in notoriety when certain Democrats are running.
Right.
You know, I think we have to pay attention to that kind of stuff. So I don't pay any credence to that thing.
It's interesting to me how people can critique people like Obama and get laryngitis when Trump's there and taking away everything we have. Everything.
Right. Absolutely.
And then you get all this chatter online. That's why I tell people, if you're real, let's talk about it. But if you lead with just calling people names and all that, then yeah, that's right. I do have suspicion on you because I've had people that have worked for the other side that became evident over time. So I'm going to watch that. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Walron. Be right back. My stylist, Aisha McShaw, made this particularly for me to express the hard black but the gold. And I'm here tonight to say to these artists that we need to bring this world back to a level where we all exude what we have inside.
What about the Bezos that says cheers? How do you feel about that?
I think that every year I've come, they've had very wealthy people that supported MAGA. And it didn't stop me from coming. They don't have enough money to keep me from talking to the artists. I came to support. We fought for years for diversity. I'm here to support Venus and Beyonce, and that's why I'm here. How do we fight and let a sponsor make us walk away from the people we fought for? And I salute Anna Wintour for making them co-chairs despite the controversy. My fashion sense is the ultimate African urban flavor, unapologetic.
It's been a long time coming, but I know
1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
I have a dream today.
When they came from the dream. Robert Culp used to do a show with Bill Cosby, I Spy, and he did a documentary on breadbasket, Robert Culp.
Oh, wow.
You need to see that documentary. It's great.
Absolutely.
I lived this. I didn't read this. I lived it. I was there.
You true to this?
I'm true to this.
Not new to this.
I ain't new to this.
Walter from Troy, you see
he was, Jack O'Dell was one of the guys that Kennedy warned Dr. King about. Say he was a communist.
Okay. Wow.
Jack O'Dell and Stanley Levinson. And Reverend brought him in. Nobody else in the movie would deal with Jack. Reverend brought him in.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Just us.
Just us.
But there's stories behind all of it. It didn't just happen.
But I am somebody. I may be on welfare, but I am somebody. I may be in jail, but I am somebody. I may be uneducated, but I am somebody. Beautiful, proud. I must be respected. I must be protected. I am somebody.
Come today. I see the Reverend Jesse Jackson is here. Yes. Lord, we thank you for the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Yes. I see the Honorable Maxine Waters is here. Yes. We thank you for Maxine Waters. You see the Reverend Sharpton is here. Yeah. We thank
keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
Yeah, I'm out at Brooklyn. Now I'm down in Tribeca, right next to De Niro. But I'll be hood forever. I'm the new Sinatra. And since I made it here, I can make it anywhere. Yeah, they love me everywhere. I used to cop in Harlem. All of my Dominicanos right there up on Broadway. Pulled me back to that McDonald's. Took it to my stash spot, 560 State Street. Catch me in the kitchen like a Simmons whipping pastry. Cruising down A Street, off-white Lexus. Driving so slow, but BK is from Texas. Me, I'm out that Bed-Stuy, home of that boy Biggie. Now I live on Billboard, and I brought my boys with me. Say what up to Tata, still sipping my top. Sitting courtside, Knicks and Nets give me high five. I be spiked out, I could trip a referee. Tell by my attitude that I most definitely from.
Don't get it twisted. Everybody hollering loud ain't saying something. We need activists
that are at large, but we need those that will continue these institutions and these organizations. If you are what you should be, you don't have to have nobody step aside. People will push you up.
Hello, New Orleans. Let me tell you straight. They did not think we could come and be here tonight. They cut budgets and advertising, but one black man, Rich Newton, has said, I don't care. My families come together every 4th of July weekend, and Essence will happen, because that's who we are.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron is our co-host, and Yahuda's name says on our message board, the song goes, shall Jesus bear the cross alone and all the world go free? No, there is a cross for everyone. There's a cross for me. That's the correct lyrics quoted, and that is absolute truth. Everybody wants to wear a crown but don't want to bear a cross. And I think that where you are outlining, and I'm trying to outline in complete concurrence, is there going to have to be some cross-bearing through here, because this is much more serious than some just little episode or issue. This is to the core of what this country is going to be about. And if we don't turn it around, our children's children is going to live under a total different color code than our grandparents gave us, Dr. Warren.
You said it. This fight is for the future. And I think it's all hands on deck. And I think it's an opportunity to critique organizations that make claim to be about justice work, but are not deeply committed to the work, because this takes a different kind of engagement at this point. And I'm going to just keep saying, time out for reactionary movements. We have to really start thinking strategically, because now we're fighting not just organizations that were anti-NAN or anti-NAACP or anti-urban. You go on and on. Now we're fighting against a legal structure, the Supreme Court, that has set certain things in motion, repealed certain things. And how do you fight when the highest court of the land seems to be against equality? And that is what's in front of us, Rev.
No, I think that is exactly what's in front of us. And I think that is so daunting for some, they don't want to face it. But just because you don't want to face something does not mean it's going to go away. It, in fact, is going to get more and more entrenched if we don't resist it. Let's go back to the phone. Let me go to Tommy in Chicago. Tommy, you're keeping it real with Sharpton and Walron.
Well, a pleasant afternoon to you, Reverend Sharpton. And I just want to say hey to you, Reverend Walron. You know, when you come on the air, that's when I know that I have moved from the back row to the front row, because now I got Reverend Walron, Reverend Williams, attorney. I mean, when you stop and you think about the plethora of information that has come off of this platform, Rev, and how is it that here we are at this moment, and we still talking about voting. We still talking about trying to tell an individual what is the importance of the vote with all of the information. You know, all the information is just floating around in the air free. Why do you need to vote? What is the importance of voting? What happens if you don't vote? So they done went from a nuts bill to Fools Incorporated.
because I have never heard such brand newness in all of my life. This is the moment and the time that individuals must recognize and understand. It is a process. And anytime the disciples went up to Jesus and asked him, tell us things, and he says, wait a minute, watch this. Render unto Caesar what's Caesar, and render unto God what's God. And how can you render what's under Caesar if you're too foolish not to understand the process of how you deal with Caesar? And so here we are at this critical moment, and I just want to say to you, Reverend Sharpton, man, you cannot make any of this up. They didn't told you to sit down. They didn't told you to shut up. But the one thing they ain't told you is that just like here in Chicago, they're talking about Walgreens is closing the stores, Reverend Walrun. We don't have no more Walgreens. Ain't nobody up here talking about what I'm talking about, which is do something for yourself. And since we have all of these individuals who are astute in running businesses, why can't we run a Walgreens? And with that, I go back to the hollow halls of sanity, because if not, I'll be out here clucking. Goodbye.
I think that it is imperative that we understand the gravity of what we're talking about. I think you touched it heavily, Reverend Walron. I think Tommy gave a version of it. And I think, I keep going back to, I said it, I suppose, Friday, that Harriet Tubman quote, where she was given an award for leading 500 blacks out of slavery. And she said, I could have brought more if I could have convinced them they were slaves. And in some ways, I'm feeling like that now, that I don't think that we have convinced enough of our people. Some haven't, but enough of our people don't realize the dire situation we're in and the insidious ways they would try to keep us off track, like arguing about stuff that we don't even argue about and calling each other names that we don't even know each other. And all of that and more is coming. How do I know that? Because I grew up watching it before, and I'm a student of history. Because this is not about an election. This is about the direction they want to bring this country. Never to be subjected to equal rights and fairness for certain segments of the population. They're determined to do that. And the only thing will stop them is we must be more determined not to let them do it.
We have to be more determined not to let them do it. And then also, we got to do multiple things at one time. We got to multitask in this season because, again, we can't engage in reactionary work, but we also have to expand the nature of the work. I'm going to give an example, Rev, up front. I was teaching class, and a young woman, she was in her 20s. I made mention of the Third Reich and totalitarianism and authoritarianism, and talked about Hitler and that. After I finished teaching, Rev, the young woman came to me and said, what is the Third Reich? Had no idea.
Wow.
So, and she's not the only one. This intention around banning books has a deeper intent. It is so that we kind of disconnect, decontextualize the current fight from a broader fight. If the next generation of folks don't even know the historical context out of which we're engaging, then things become really dire in many ways. And I think, so our fight has to be multifaceted. It is to critique the empire. It is to seek to undermine the impact of empire. But also it's about building up people so that we understand what's going on. I think about 2016 and how many people didn't understand what the judiciary meant, why the federal judiciary was important. I think with all that, and think about this moment, how we have to fight and inform our people, because misinformation and social media is leading us down a perilous way.
No doubt about that. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. Keeping it real.
Talk to you. I want to talk to you. Just wait. I believe that.
Good morning. morning, everybody. I hope the coffee has kicked in by now. I want to start by thanking your leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, and everyone at the National Action Network for 35 years of standing up for civil rights and opportunity for everyone.
And I couldn't be more grateful for the way that you have blessed the lives of so many, including mine.
As we look today on King Day, let us not forget that we had to struggle to even have this day. They did not wake up one morning and say, let's give a federal holiday to Martin Luther King. People petitioned, people marched. Let us remember now as we bring our children and grandchildren up the Potomac, that they can see the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and one memorial that never served as president, but changed this country more than any other American, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
This was an amazing MLK breakfast.
It is truly an honor, and more importantly, this is an important day for us.
I feel incredibly lucky and honored to be in this room on this day, celebrating Dr. King's legacy of civil rights, especially in the moment that we're facing on a national level. It feels like warmth and home being in this room.
So I'm encouraged by today. I'm encouraged that we're getting out, we're protesting, but more needs to be done. We need to lean in.
And let's keep fighting because the job is not done here. And I just feel so honored to get this award. It's not about getting an award, it's about doing the work. And let's keep up with the work.
Rev, you know you were right there
From the beginning.
with the stuff that
Yep.
was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene yourself,
Yep.
Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question.
Yep.
What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the head on.
Yeah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut, so we went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK.
This organization has been on the front line. People ask me, why do families call us? Because we never leave them. No justice. No justice. What do we want? What do we want? What do we want? When do we want it? When do we want it? When do we want it?
Thank God I was blessed to have both in my life. Both historic, strong figures. But if I misuse them and listen to not only figures that are not as historic as them, but figures that had nothing to do with the calling and purpose of my life, I would live confused. I'd be double-minded. I'm clear. And what I want you to do is be clear. Clear on who you are, why you are. And a lot of that will be exposed to you and others by who you are around and who you allow to enter your head. Keep people at a distance that only have a distant and unclear vision of who you are and who you are supposed to be. They could be your blood relatives, but they could not be the ones that accompany you toward what you ought to be about.
I am your host.
Everybody good
Reverend Al
to you
Sharpton.
and good for you.
Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron is our co-host, as he is every Tuesday, the last hour. Don't forget Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. I'm working already on this Saturday and Sunday's guest, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now. And you that are in the New York and vicinity, meet me at the Saturday Action Rally at the historic Mother AME Zion Church, 137th, and Lenox. Will be there another couple of weeks, and then we're moving into our permanent headquarters. I just talked up there. They are plumbers and all that stuff you got to get ready for code are in there already. So we have a bright future if we go to work. Reverend Walron, what's going on in FCBC?
Bev, I will tell you, there's a lot going on at SCBC, but I want to take this moment to celebrate a little bit outside of that. So this past Saturday, I was in Atlanta for my daughter's. I think I might have shared it. My daughter is having a baby, and this past Saturday, found out, Rev, that I'm be like you. I'm having a grandson.
Wow.
And so I'm excited. I have a 4-year-old granddaughter. Now I got a grandson on the way. So I have been riding in cloud nine, and especially, Red, since everybody thought this was a girl, and I was the only one who said it was going to be a boy. And the boy is coming, so I'm excited.
Congratulations. You sound excited. God bless her.
I sure am.
All right, let's go to the phone. Let's get some words from the sage of the South, Brother Jihad. Brother Jihad.
Hey, congratulations, Brother Walron.
Thank you.
I get a smile through the phone, too. That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. Reverend, let me be real quick, because Brother Walron said something, and Tommy said something that made me make this call real quick, you know. And right now there's something else, like, and I'm addressing the part where you talked about Harriet Tubman and our people. Because to be honest with you, Rev, that's real. That's real. Because like Tommy said, you shouldn't have to constantly tell these people what's going on when currently you can actually see what's going on.
Right.
So there's something else real deep that's happening with our people, and somehow we have to address it. And one of the things that they're doing now, if you look on the internet, there's a group of new young Negroes. I don't know where they're coming from, but they're on there blasting 24/7 about no accomplishments. One of the things they said, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King is responsible for the condition that we're in. One said the other day, we've had black leadership for 50 years and nothing has been accomplished. And they're spreading that they see no difference between white rule and black rule. And this is serious. And I think that this is the root of the problem that we have, that these messages has been just reiterated over and over again for so long until it has deadened the spirit of most of our people and made many of them outright ignorant, to be honest with you, and unknowledgeable of this particular situation, because you shouldn't have to do this. You shouldn't have to tell a man, over and over again, the simple things that we're telling them every day, like Tommy said. Even when Tommy brought up the Walgreens situation, I think I saw it on the internet also, where Walgreens was being closed in Chicago or something because of something, and the people are in an uproar that we don't have a Walgreens, but civilized people would have an M-Hotep pharmacy to replace it. You understand what I'm saying? So when they do certain things, if it appears that we as people can't even provide the basic things without we deserve them and we might lose them, but we should by no means be completely dependent upon them to provide these services in our community.
Exactly.
So the answer to that is, we should have in place an M-Hotep pharmacy to replace Walgreens. And I think when we see things like this taking place in our community, then we'll, to some degree, begin to awaken our people, and they will listen to us and listen to what we're trying to say. And something has to spark them, because something, the Bible says that Adam and Eve couldn't see, but it wasn't talking about physically see. Adam said that Lazarus was dead. It wasn't talking about physical dead. So even though we're walking around breathing and talking and et cetera, something's wrong, Rev, because civilized people won't put up with this to this extent. I think I'll end with this. Patrick Henry said, and I'm not suggesting anything to anybody, and I'm not saying that you are, Rev, but Patrick Henry clearly said taxation without representation will not be tolerated. Thanks a lot, Rev, and thanks for letting me get in. I appreciate it very much.
No problem. Let me see if I can get Woody in here. Woody, you from Philadelphia. You're keeping it real with Sharpton and Walron.
We lost him.
I think we lost Woody. Let me ask you this, Reverend Walron, as we and I see another dimension now as to your really dealing with the overall picture that you painted, and what I've been saying, because now that you have a grandson, he's going to live a less empowering on the social level and productive life than we do if we don't stop this right now. And I think the day will come that our grandchildren will denounce us when they realize what we could have done and wouldn't do. Because it is still, as strong as these tyrants are, it is still within our grasp to turn this around, if we would maximize what is available to us.
I agree, Rev. In organizing, you make an analysis of where power resides, and then determine what are not only the issues, but what are winnable issues. Rev, I'm going to say this. I've been saying it for years, and you know this. We, after part of our thrust, has to be critiquing social media. The problem is, Rev, so many people are hesitant because so many people have been benefiting from it.
Yeah.
Building platforms from it.
Yeah.
Monetizing their platforms. But social media and these algorithms have so many of us in a chokehold. It is hard to rally people around certain things when they're fixated on distracting elements. Social media has become a big distraction and a source of misinformation in the midst of all of this. And when people, for example, if there's an erroneous post that has to do with maybe, let's say something says civil rights is a farce, and you watch this video, and then you watch another video, the algorithm locks in. So now it's going to send you a plethora of videos that says civil rights is a farce, and pretty soon you start not only regurgitating but repeating this.
Right.
That is a problem. And I've heard people say these things. I've been teaching people who lock in on certain ideas that are put forward in social media with no facts, no fact checking, and no real credibility. And people lock on, young people, because they get their information from social media for the most part. They're not reading newspapers, not reading books, and social media has the opportunity to influence different ways. But the algorithm is not interested in what is false or not. It is simply interested in holding your attention so that your attention can be monetized. This is a dangerous move right now. And to me, to be part of social justice and not critique social media and talk about the dangers of it is missing an opportunity right now.
Now, not only do they want to monetize it, and that is primary with them, they want to control us. So the minute they have you addicted to social media, which many of us have become, rather than whether we want to admit it or not. Many of us, before we do anything in the morning, grab our phones. We're into social media. Social media tell us whether things are up or down. And once they can take a generation or two and have them addictive to that, they can then program through social media whatever they want. And right becomes wrong and wrong becomes right. Because I don't think we've ever stopped to notice some of the most right-wing reactionary people in the world are the ones that own these companies. That's who owns them. So I was telling a young guy the other day, he says, I don't deal with corporate media. I said, what do you do? He said, I deal with social media. That is corporate media. I mean, do you think the masses owns the AI or owns Facebook? I mean, what are you talking about? He said, word, I never thought about that. Because you're being programmed by people who do not want you wise enough to hold them accountable. So you think that CBS and NBC and ABC and MS Now and CNN is corporate, but Instagram isn't, and Facebook isn't. You think Mark Zuckerberg is there to save your free speech? I mean, come on. We have got to confront this stuff head on.
Rev, I'm going to give you this. At the church right now, I'm teaching a class based on the souls of black folk. And I got to give this, Rev. A young man, a young African-American lawyer, trained at Howard University Law School, when talking about civil rights at that time, the right for vote and the voting right. This was last Tuesday before the Supreme Court came down with its ruling. Mm-hmm. This young brother said to me, I don't understand. I don't know if any of these laws, Voting Rights Act, Civil Rights Act, have any impact. A black trained lawyer from Howard Law School raised this question, not just no reflection on Howard, but my point is he raised the pivotal role that Howard University Law School played in the civil rights movement. And many of the people who were at the forefront went to Howard to raise that question, to say, or to make the statement, I'm not sure these votes have any impact. Rev, we in dire straits.
Wow. I think you left it right where we need to leave it. We out of time, but I hope we're going to use the time we have wisely. Let me thank Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walrun. Let me thank all of you that called in, listened in, you that called in and couldn't get through, but hung in there anyhow. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real.